But there's this guy named Craig Clemson. Don't know who he is. Don't really care. Apparently, he's a Democrat from California or a liberal from California who said, hey, I voted for Gavin Newsom. And today, with many Democrats, this is when the recall election was going on, I will vote to recall him. And again, I don't know who this guy is. I don't really care who he is. But I think, or I currently think, in a series of a bunch of tweets, which is apparently what is on Twitter, he kind of laid out all the reasons he's voting to recall Newsom. And it was really, really articulate. You know, he went into the fraud of the unemployment. I mean, $31 billion. $31 billion. Billion. That's 3-1, followed by 9 zeros. Stolen from our unemployment coffers because, like, we didn't have a way to actually verify all the people that were applying for unemployment during the pandemic. You know, he basically lays out his case for why a Democrat shouldn't vote for Gavin Newsom and or should have voted to recall him. But the one that really struck home, and oh man, this is my pet peeve. You guys know this. He talked about how California has spent $13 billion. $13 billion. That's 13 with 9 zeros after it. Billion on the homeless problem in the last 3 years. And Governor Newsom, because there's homeless people everywhere in California, is trying to get funding and wants to raise taxes. By the way, California, already the highest income taxes in the country, wants to raise taxes so he can spend $20 billion more over the next 5 years on the homelessness problem. And this just reminded me of, you know, never underestimate bureaucracy's ability to waste money. So let's just, you know, there's still places. Let's do this. Let's do this thought exercise. So if we did 13 billion, I already did this. 13 billion divided by 300,000. Okay. So $13 billion. Yeah. $13 billion. If you get rid of some of the environmental roadblocks and you kind of are the governor, and so you can just overrule certain zoning issues, you know, you can build low cost housing. You can build like 2 to 3 bedroom, effectively condos or army barracks. You can build low cost housing for a couple $100,000 a unit, right? So over the last 3 years, the state spent $13 billion on various homeless initiatives and funding. Had you just taken that $13 billion and divided by $300,000 per house, which can probably house 5 to 6 people, you would have ended up with 43,000 houses for the homeless. You know, times that by 3 or 4 people per house, you probably could have housed a couple 100,000 homeless people. Chris, how many homeless people are there currently in California estimates? And let's do this. You know, he already spent 13. He wants to spend another 20. So let's take 33 billion. And let's say you did something really aggressive, like you basically built
151,000.
151,000. All right. So let's do this. Let's take 33 billion, divide by 155,000 homeless people.
According to NPR.
NPR. I trust NPR. 155,000 homeless people. Okay. Okay. $33 billion. That's what we spent in the last 3 years, and that's probably what we're going to spend in the next 5 years. You're telling me you can't find a way to house people for $200,000, $212,903 to be fairly accurate? Now, look, I get it. If you build housing, there's ongoing maintenance, there's, you know, costs for utilities, things of that nature. But I think if the state came up with a plan to actually build affordable housing, not this bullshit $700,000 per unit that Proposition HHH in Los Angeles has been completely bastardized, like hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, absolutely wasted on homeless initiatives. But $33 billion, you're telling me that you can't house somebody for $200,000? You could go out to the Inland Empire. You could go up to Palmdale. You used to be able to buy houses or condos. And if you were the government, you were buying in mass or you're building in mass, you could definitely buy units for $200,000. That's $200,000 per homeless person that you have in the budget from the past 3 years and the projected budget to go to housing people. Okay. And let's say out of that 155,000 people that are homeless, let's say half of them you're never going to be able to house. They're schizophrenic. they're drug addicts, either involuntarily or voluntary, right? Probably half of that 55,000, if you gave them 200 grand cash, or you gave them a supervisor, you gave them a program, or you gave them housing, they would be back out on the streets in a matter of days, right? That's probably the reality of the homeless situation. But the other 75,000 that maybe just need a helping hand, now you've got 400,000 to help rehabilitate, house, and get a job programs in place. Just an epic waste of money. Epic waste of money. And I'm not saying that there's not a lot of homeless people that don't need help. I'm not saying that there's not some social services that do some good. But Jesus, this goes back to my overarching thought of like a few people or a few hundred people in government thinking that they're somehow smarter than the overall market, where if we could just tax more, if we could just engineer the social or government program that we believe that should exist, we'll solve all the problems of the world. But you won't, because we keep spending more money on homelessness, and there keeps being more homeless people in Southern California. So clearly, whatever you're doing is not fucking working. Find a new plan. Hire Elon Musk. Get Google involved. Get some smart people out of government involved. Because if you're spending somewhere between $200,000 and $400,000 per homeless person over the course of 5 years, and those homeless people are still living on the street, you, Governor Newsom, and the entire legislator in California, you are complete failures. You're just taxing to spend money on bureaucracy that's clearly not working. So please, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the plan is, but there's some really smart people in public education, in public policy. There's some really smart people that work in California at Berkeley and Stanford and UCLA and USC. Get some smarter people than you dumb fucks on the problem, because clearly what you're doing is not working. If we're spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per year per homeless people, and we're not even making a dent in the homeless population. So shout out to Craig. I don't know who you are. Maybe Chris, hey, let's find this out. Let's see if we can find Craig Clemens on Twitter or Facebook and be like, hey man, I really liked your post. Can we interview you? I'm sure he's not a big deal. I don't think let's click on him. Is he a big deal? Who is he? He is DTC copywriter, investor, and entrepreneur. Well member of Charity Water. So, hey, tell him we'll make a donation to Charity Water if we can have him on the podcast, because I like this guy. I think he's a pretty smart dude.